Live,
All right,
live,
we are
live.
live. Yay. All right, you guys good?
Oh, I'm always good.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I was born ready and unable to read a calendar.
All right, sweet. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Good thing I waited. God damn. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to That Pixel Life, the most cultured, sophisticated podcast you'll hear this week. This is episode 12, and this week we'll be discussing Luminous Remastered. We'll be discussing Unravel 2. We'll also be using what we've learned from E3 and recent moves from console manufacturers to try to guess how the next generation is going to play out. So that should be a pretty interesting discussion. Should be fun. So let's get to it. My name is Josh Faulkner. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. If you're new to the show, if this is your first time listening, we hope you guys enjoy it. We have Zach Anderson as well. Hello, Zach.
Hello. I'm in the midst of non-webcamness at the moment, but hopefully that'll change in a couple minutes. But yes, I'm back and doing fine after leaving everyone high and dry last week, which I apologize for.
Yeah. So what happened there?
So what happened there was I knew that I had a Vegas trip at some point, and woke up in the morning, and I did not assume it was the day we were recording, and was getting the kids ready to go to school and wondering where the people were that normally will come over to the house to help, to watch my daughter and while we take my son to school, and no one's there. And I'm like, what's going on? Where is everyone? And my wife's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's Thursday. What is going on here? Like, she's like, we're going to Vegas. I'm like, you haven't packed, you haven't done anything. And I'm like,
has suitcase in hand. She's waiting.
Dude, it was, Elena, it was bad. Like, there was suitcases were down. I just like didn't notice or like failed to realize why she had been doing laundry for 2 days straight or anything. Like it was rough, dude. Like I came away from this experience looking very bad in multiple people's eyes.
Your wife. I just keep thinking about your wife, man. Like, you know that look already.
No. If you're like, picture the old Looney Tunes cartoons when like Bugs Bunny sees something he can't believe and his jaw literally hits the floor. That was the experience where she just looked at me and was just like, what the? Yeah.
And then she says to herself that she loves you very much, and she continues on.
She needs your income.
She's contractually obligated to love me, so it works.
Yes. Well, thank you for not ditching us this week.
You're welcome.
Very much.
You're good company, man. It's good to have you.
Yes.
Good to
we
be
have Shannon Moore there as well. Hi, Shannon.
Hey, how you doing, Josh? And let me be the first on the podcast in live in real time to say happy birthday to you.
This is the birthday cast. Did you gift these?
How are you feeling? Another year older. Like, you got any wisdom to drop on us? I mean, anything?
There's no wisdom in me whatsoever.
Any new aches and pains? Any new growths that we should worry about in your old
gray
age?
hairs? You getting
talk about that tail?
There's definitely gray tail. Yeah, no, there's definitely gray hair. There's definitely gray hair involved. No, so I am 34 years old now. So yay to that.
Nice.
So whatever, but yeah, no, it was an all right birthday. We went out to eat. I got lots of gift cards to Best Buy.
Yes.
And,
well, not anymore. Yes, it's not the same.
Well, I went there today to like look around to see if I could like buy anything, and I really couldn't find anything I wanted, which is rare because usually I'll just be like, I got these gift cards. Fuck it, I'll just spend them on something, right. Walk out with something. But I actually held restraint. I'm like, you know what? I think I'll just wait. But I ended up
Amazon gift cards.
Yeah, but I ended up buying The Incredibles for my son on Blu-ray,
nice.
and that was about it. So I used cash, so I didn't use my gift cards for that because those are mine.
Those are for me. Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to say that. That's what's up.
So I pulled out the debit card on that one. But no, it was an all right birthday. I'm 34 now. I'm older, closer to death, whatever.
So, we all every day.
Absolutely. We got Elena.
Optimism cast.
Optimism cast. Hi, Elena.
What's up, y'all?
How are you?
I'm well. The season 10 of Overwatch ended yesterday, so I was grinding a lot, and I miss it. And it's funny, you always want what you can't have, because all season I didn't want to play competitive, and the last couple of days I was playing like a madman, and now that it's over, I'm like, I miss my SR, because I've been climbing for years, man. I used to be like silver, and I've been climbing that ladder, so I'm getting better every season, and I just want to keep going.
So you say the season is over, like, so now that the I guess that season's done, when does the next season start?
Off season starts, I think, just in a couple of days. I don't follow it too closely. I just
So why are you going through the draws? I mean, like, it's gonna start.
Have you
in,
met
like, 2
me?
days.
Have you? You know what's up, man. We talked about gaming addiction last week. You know what's going on.
I've seen your Twitter feed. You're playing Pokemon Go like a mofo, so don't worry about it.
On my level up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I've been going through the same thing with Fortnite because their season's almost over as well. I think like there's one more week left, and there's this skin. It's a female skin. I think his name was Trixie or something. It's like a candy girl, and she has like green hair and like she's got candy all over her. And I'm like, I want that skin. And I was like grinding my ass off and playing the hell out of the game this week just so I can make sure I get that before the season's over. Which I got it, so I'm good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, man, God, lots of Fortnite this week for me. But that's a whole nother story. So, anyways, let's go and get into the fun stuff for this week. We'll go into some quick housekeeping before we get started. So, just the usual. Follow us on Twitter at That Pixel Life. If you guys have not, you can get show updates and everything there. You can subscribe to us on YouTube as well for video versions of these podcasts. You can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/That Pixel Life. If you want to help support the show financially and get some cool incentives for doing so, that's the place to do it. We also use that to help improve the show and kind of start projects and, you know, get funds for that as well. So it just helps us overall. So if you're interested, that's where to go. And speaking of Patreon, the State of the Podcast video log for June is up there now as well. We just released it a few days ago. So for anyone who doesn't know what that is, that's basically me talking about the inner workings of the podcast and what's going on and what we're doing to improve and everything. It's kind of a behind the scenes look for the people that support us financially. So we released a survey like about a month ago, and we had a bunch of people fill it out. So I kind of go over the results of that survey and some of the trends that we found and ways that we're using them to improve. So if you're interested and you're a Patreon subscriber, that is there now for you to watch. Also subscribe to this on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Pocket Cast, run all of that stuff. Don't forget to drop us an iTunes review as well, which we did get some more this week, but they didn't leave comments. But that's fine. We'll still take whatever we can get. So thank you very much to the folks that left those for us. Otherwise, let's get started. Now, industry buzz for this week. Obviously, it's a few weeks past E3, so we're really not getting a whole lot of big news or anything this week. But there's something that I've been noticing that I thought would be fun to discuss. So we're going to dig into the next generation. Sony and Microsoft are already sort of battling out to try to reach that market leader status for next gen. If you can tell, there's kind of little industry trends we're kind of seeing with some moves that those companies are doing, plus all the stuff that we saw at E3. And I thought it would be kind of fun to predict what these companies need to do in order to reach the top. So I want to start with this whole Sony Fortnite controversy. Now, we talked about this a little bit, basically me bitching about it on one of the E3 episodes. But since we recorded that, Sony actually responded to this, and they gave a really sort of tone-deaf, like,
Political.
you know,
that was the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically, we sell more consoles, so deal with it, was pretty much the response that it looked like they gave.
Yeah, the sunglasses came down, just deal with it.
Yep. So apparently Sean Layden just also replied to it as well. Like, he made a comment and basically said that they're listening and they're, listening to the feedback, and that it's a bigger issue than just one game, and that they're working on it and blah, blah, blah. But they never really said that, we're going to give you guys crossplay or anything. But at least he gave a better response to it than whoever the PR Sony person was. So the reason I want to start here is because I feel like Sony is playing the same role that Microsoft did when they were coming from last generation into this current generation with the Xbox One. Microsoft was the market leader, so therefore they had, they felt like they probably had more strength in the market at the time, and they didn't have to make so many like big decisions to try to woo more customers, more or less, to be more consumer friendly. And that bit them in the ass because they had made all these decisions, and then Sony came after them with a bunch of viral videos and stuff making fun of their blunders, and Sony came out on top. Now, do you guys think that they're making sort of similar decisions right now in terms of this cross-play stuff since they are the market leader?
Well, I think that there probably legitimately is some sort of technological reason why it's difficult for their network to play with other networks. I'm willing to believe that there's a kernel of truth in that from Sony's perspective. Not that it's unsurmountable or even difficult to circumvent, but that there's something there. Now, I think it's very obvious that Microsoft made their crossplay available to try to get more customers because they need them. They're desperate for them. So it's like, yeah, anything we can do, let's do that, and the Sony absolutely does not have to, Sony absolutely is like, yeah, like you said, we sell all the consoles. So who cares what you want, that sort of thing. But my main beef with Sony acting like this is it's just the history repeating itself. It's the arrogance of the PS3 launch coming back to the fold, which in itself Microsoft repeated with the Xbox One launch. It was all like everyone who has it remembers that same tone deaf $6.99 go get a second job to buy your PS3 presser that Sony gave, and then it sunk them for an entire generation, and Microsoft jumped on it. And, to be fair, was very innovative with the 360, the group features, the online play, the download functionality. That was all industry. Everything that you take for granted now as a console feature, Microsoft did it first on the 360. And that's what got them to be in that position as a generational leader. But come around the second time, Sony was like, oh, thanks for giving us your playbook that we've been studying while we were trying to figure out how to dig out of this hole from the PS3. And here's how we solved all those problems. Oh, and we kept the IP and let you guys shoot yourselves in the feet. And so I think now when you're looking at this Fortnite thing, my prediction is they probably cave on this, that they allow Fortnite crossplay. But
now or next gen?
Now, but only Fortnite crossplay. I don't think you'll see any other game get it.
I don't think they will until next gen.
I don't think they will.
Either.
Period. I will. I mean, like you were saying, Zach, this goes back to that PlayStation 3 era. And remember when they released the PlayStation 3, developers were pissed because Sony went with this own proprietary programming setup.
The cell processor.
That made it a nightmare for developers to do anything with that system for. And you figure like Sony probably would have done something to try to maybe fix that issue. They did nothing. They just said, tough, like, you want to work with us, like, this is what you're going to have to do. This is the direction we're going. This is our plan for the next X amount of years. Stick with it. When they came out with like this console and they started to get that market share, and they really came out of that gate a lot stronger than Microsoft did. I think that just reinforced like, hey, like, we can stick to our guns. Like granted, like, we learned a lot of from a lot of the mistakes we made last generation, but that I think that underlying hubris of like, you're either going to be with us or you're going to be against us, kind of stuck. And I still think it's going to be, if you want to play Fortnite on the PlayStation 4, be prepared to just be stuck on the PlayStation 4. Like, you're going to play on our console. You're going to play, we think it's the best, so you're going to play on the best. We're not going to let you play with these other, we don't play well with others. But I think it also kind of goes to like a scorned like ex-girlfriend kind of thing, because like when PlayStation 3 was getting their ass handed to them by Microsoft, they did come to Microsoft and say, hey, why don't we do some cross-platform gaming? Why don't we try to get like both communities together? And Microsoft, in their hubris at the time, said, no, screw you, go play over there with like whoever you have. You shot yourself in the foot, go play over there. We're gonna revel in this time. And now everybody's coming back and saying, hey, let's do this cross-platform thing. And Microsoft or Sony is just saying, go pound salt. Like, we tried to do this before. We don't want to play with you guys. Like, we're crushing you. Like, why would we do that?
At the same time, they also had a different leader at Microsoft as well. Phil Spencer seems to be much more consumer friendly than their previous guy, like Don Matrick, or whatever the hell his name was. But I also think it has a lot to do with who's the market leader right now, because I feel like Sony's doing the exact same thing that Microsoft was doing last gen, because they don't have to. They're the market leader. They're selling PlayStation. Did you guys see that Fortnite bundle that they just released? Mm-hmm. Like, that's going to sell a shitload of PlayStation 4s.
Mm-hmm. Will it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. All you do is slap Fortnite on the front.
There's many kids committed to playing it on other consoles, though. Like, who is going to buy it? Somebody probably who's never played Fortnite before, because I can't see somebody who has an account elsewhere coming to purchasing that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I think they're aiming for the kids that haven't played it yet, that want to play it with their buddies.
Sure, which I absolutely see that. But at the same time, this has them announcing it when they did smacked of it was such an arrogant, and I know the thing is, they probably had this plan for months. They probably had all these marketing and licensing deals worked out for literally half a year before they announced this. That just was really shitty timing when all of this hit the front, and they're like, oh, and fuck you guys, here's our Fortnite bundle. Come buy it, suckers. And it just like, it looks bad. Like it was just a very bad look.
And that's not something you can pull the plug on, like their E3 conference, where you can just be like, never mind. Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, it's kind of like rubbing salt in the wound in a way, It's like, oh, you have problems with Fortnite on PS4? Well, here, buy a PS4 branded Fortnite console,
Yeah, and my point is, I think that just created it poured gasoline on a fire that was already burning, and the more, everyone I talked to about this is just vehemently anti-Sony all of a sudden. It's creating zealots. It's
it's because there's so many people who are on the fence, like myself. Like, I was an Advent Sony fan for years and years, and I'm just not anymore. And there are continual issues that I'm running into where it's like, you know what, man, I'm done. Like, I'm cool. Pass. I'm definitely gonna buy the next gen console, but like, I'm gonna feel bad about it. I'm gonna feel a little dirty, I'm gonna feel like I'm cheating.
But I mean, like, I don't, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm in the minority, but like, I don't really understand the animosity towards Sony for this move.
The way they handled it.
I know, I understand.
Well, it's more about the account stuff than it is the actual crossplay. The fact that if you linked your account to a PlayStation 4, Sony locked that fucker down to where you can't play on any other console but PC. That is the biggest issue here that most people have.
Yeah, because a lot of people that message boards I've read and things, they're looking at that as, so it's not my account. I can't tell you what I can do with my account. You're telling me what I can do with my account. So it's not my account. It's Sony's account now.
And like situations like me where I actually spent all of the money that I've spent on Fortnite on my PC, not my PlayStation 4. I did not buy a single piece of content on a PS4 for that game. It was all on PC. And now Sony's telling me where I can and cannot play that game and carry my content over. That is the biggest issue.
All right. Yeah. I forget that part. Like, when I overlooked it. So yes, I can.
People are still angry about the crossplay stuff too. There's still people that are angry about that as well. But the account system is where most of the backlash has come from.
Okay.
Do you guys really think that they would go into next gen not being on board with this, because they don't want to be in the situation they were with the PS3 again? They kind of have to at this point, right?
No.
Really?
No, I think you'll either see them back another horse, fucking Final Fantasy Battle Royale or something. I don't know, but like they'll either try to make their own, where we don't care if you play Fortnite over here or not, because I've got Overwatch 2 is an exclusive, not that they would ever happen, but you know what I mean. That's
I
something
am
like
aghast.
that.
I screamed internally so hard just there. I'm
I
so
saw. I literally made both of Elena's eyes turn bloodshot red. Like,
I've been crying.
yeah, I just did a month's worth of crying in 30 seconds. But no, like something I could see them making a move like that, or I could see them just continuing to be like, no, Fortnite's Fortnite, and I'm not going to worry about it, because do you change your entire console strategy over a trend? And that's essentially, you know, this is a fad. Fortnite's huge. Fortnite's the biggest thing in gaming. I understand what Fortnite means to everyone, but it's a fad. There will be something else at some point. 2 years ago, it was Overwatch. The year after Overwatch, it was PUBG. No one talks about.
What about crossplay though? I mean, like overall as an overarching thing, like, do you think that's going to be something that they? You know?
But I don't see where they. I could see them being like, we're number one. I don't really care if we have crossplay or not, because you're all still going to buy a PS5, and you know it's one of those things. Unless they have titles out there that use it, I don't really see the issue.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you.
They may not stay number one though with decisions like that.
But
especially with Microsoft being so damn forward thinking right now, and then their strategy that might come and bite Sony in the ass if they don't get on board with the same forward thinking mentalities with their designs.
But what's so forward thinking about Microsoft right now? I mean, like, they don't have a lot of IPs. I mean, everything that you can buy. Yeah, okay, they're working on it, but I mean, it's still kind of just like. It's out there in the ether that they're working on it, but there's nothing concrete. There's nothing to get me excited about their next console. Like
right now, though, like I think that everything, all the resources they're putting into is not this generation, it's next generation.
Yeah, and I can understand that, because that's where most of the innovation happens, is when you're getting your ass handed to you. I mean, like when you're not the leader, that's when you're thinking about what can I do to take that leader position. And I understand they have that motivation, but like I haven't seen enough put forward by them to get me excited about the innovation that they're putting forward to their next console.
So Game Pass isn't enough?
I mean, not really. There's nothing on it I want to play. I mean, like that's the thing, is that's what it keeps coming back to.
Yeah.
Is there, like you can tell me all day long that like you have this Game Pass and it's great because you can try all these games out, but there ain't shit I want to play on your console.
If I don't want to play the games, I'm not going to buy the console, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you get the consoles for the exclusives, you know, or the community. And I mean, like, yeah, Xbox has the community, but like as I'm getting older, that community for me is getting smaller and smaller. I could care less about playing with some douchebag who I got to listen to his mixtape like the whole time. Like I don't give a shit about that. Like I want to play the game, I want the experience, and right now I'm having more fun on PlayStation. So if the new consoles come out and I have to choose between the two, I'm going to go with PlayStation because it's got the pedigree of games that I want to play, and it's got more. They've shown more promise as the games that are coming out.
But the Xbox One controller is so much better.
Yeah, and like the what was it? The PlayStation, like the SCUF controllers that they're making for the PlayStations are starting to emulate those controllers. So I know.
I've seen those ones with the offset sticks.
Yeah, and they're dope.
I totally want one of those. I totally want one. But yeah,
I mean, you're done, son. Like if I get one of those, like I don't got to worry about it. I got the best of both worlds with the console that I want.
I actually think the PS4 controller is better.
Really?
And like I'm totally with Shannon. Like this generation, I have been significantly pro Sony, primarily because they seem to be the ones that gave a shit about the gamer out of the gate this gen. But it's not
also
like this.
Also, remember though, Sony went into this generation they've completely flopped roles in the last 4 years. Like Sony went into this generation as the scrappy underdog that had to do all these things to get people. You know, they did push the hardcore exclusives. They did push the single player experience. They brought tons. The first year of PS4 was fucking indie central. It was the Nintendo Switch library, basically. Like nothing but indie. Oh, and here's Naughty Dog's game. You know, like, and it was that was like their whole first year. And also here's Naughty Dog's game from 3 years ago. But and
you like Diablo too, right?
Yeah. Hey, we got that. But and it's very interesting to see that blossom and change into this kind of hydra of American Sony and Japanese Sony trying to kind of eliminate Microsoft as a competition, and see Microsoft all of a sudden become the scrappy one that's like, oh no, hey, we got these innovative like Game Pass ideas, and now that I've cleared the decks and burnt all this rubbish in the backyard, we're going to have 5 new studios making exclusive games because, oh crap, I guess we've kind of forgot we need games somewhere along the way. And, and that's why Microsoft's in their Wii U period. This is the time before the Switch for Microsoft. So,
yeah, you're not saying like Wii U in terms of sales, are you?
No, I'm saying Wii U as in I don't know why this system exists.
Oh, okay. I was about to say I'm pretty sure the Xbox One sold fucking significantly more than a Wii U did.
No, it was Nintendo made the Wii, and as Nintendo made the Wii and then went, hey, that sold a ton. How about we make a little more powerful one that does some other stuff and release the Wii U? And everyone was like, yeah, no, I'm good off that. Thanks.
That's what Nintendo does across the board, though. With they do it with games too. I mean, just think about Pokemon, and every iteration of every handheld they've ever had has just had absurd, releases afterwards. It's a joke, man.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I'm not a big fan of with Nintendo. So.
My big concern is with the release of the next console. So, I mean, we're doing all this talk about what they need to do, but Microsoft and Sony, Sony can ride this wave, right? I mean, they don't care. I mean, they're in no rush to bring out a new console. They're still crushing it on a monthly basis with regards to sales against Xbox. So, I mean, it kind of adds some type of interesting conundrum for Microsoft, because they have to play this just right. I mean, how long are you going to stay in this current generation and just continually get your butt handed to you by your competitor before you put out that next console? And if you put it out too early, you show your hand, and then Sony has time to change their console to one up you again. It's a very dangerous time, I think, for Xbox or for Microsoft in general. In the gaming market, I don't know how you correct this, because you go too early, you're basically setting yourself up for failure, and and I don't know how much money you can stand to lose going later with Sony.
Yeah, and apparently Microsoft's going all in on the Xbox division right now too, from what I've read. It was close to Microsoft was actually questioning why it even exists anymore. To let's put all of our eggs in that basket now.
Well, and Phil Spencer's on the board now.
Yeah, he's like an executive.
Yeah. But to answer your question, Shannon, it's a really simple answer. It doesn't matter when you release it. You release it when you have all of the games that you need in that first year. You need a solid Forza, you need a new Gears, you need a new Halo. Whatever you think you need in year one to hook people into this system and setup, that's when you release it, and not a minute before. Because if you release this one with it's weird how much this copies Nintendo, because it's if you release the Switch with no Zelda, that thing is dead in the water and it's just the same old story.
Yep.
Why would I buy this thing? And so if Microsoft releases this without a marquee title, and it can't be Forza, just Microsoft, if you're listening, that title can't be Forza. You need something else. But if they release it without a marquee title, it's dead in the water. All I can read the headlines now. It'll just be same old Microsoft, flashy console, no games, blah, blah, blah. It'll be 8 months of where's the games until they release Halo. And then they'll be and they're only releasing Halo. I don't even care that it looks amazing and is fun to play. It's still just Halo.
This ain't Bungie.
Yeah, exactly.
They sold me a Kinect again.
Oh, if they have Kinect 3, I'm gonna fucking laugh so hard.
Holy shit. I don't know. I don't even know what I'd do if I saw that in another bundle.
Is anyone else amazed that Microsoft hasn't taken the speaker tech and Cortana tech and released a Kinect just smart speaker?
Yes.
Why does the Amazon Echo not have a Microsoft competitor called Kinect?
I think that they just won out of that. It's the same reason why they haven't done VR yet. I think they just don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So what at E3 this year do you guys think is pointing towards a direction of what these companies are going to be doing for next generation?
Well, for me, I think games as service is Microsoft direction. Like everything they're talking about, Game Pass, and for all these first parties that they're going to try to release, and all the first parties are going to be on Game Pass and bringing Game Pass to PC as a feature and service. I think they are going hard into a Netflix subscription model style for games instead of
Game Pass is on PC to an extent. Anything that if you have Xbox Game Pass, and if there is a PC version of the game that's on Game Pass, you can get it as well. There's just no way you can browse it on PC and download directly to PC.
But that's supposedly their big update they're talking about coming. So.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think they're trying to steer it in a complete. I think Sony is going to be kind of, let's continue what we're doing. For like maybe one. I think I'm not expecting much innovation out of that console, out of the PlayStation 5. I think they will jump on board with crossplay eventually, but I'm not seeing anything out of them right now that's really pointing towards what they're doing in the future. So they're kind of a mystery right now. But Microsoft is just throwing it out there. It's blatantly obvious what they're doing. And I feel like everything that they're doing is pointing towards they've kind of just given up with the Xbox One. Like, we released the X, that's the best we're going to do. Let's do everything we can to focus on making the next console as awesome as we can. And I mean, apparently they're already just said that they're going to release in 2020. So that already kind of gives Sony a heads up. But I think Sony was probably, I think these companies know when their competitors are going to start dropping stuff too. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's Watch Dogs and stuff, I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about people that are like spying on shit, that they can kind of know. I mean, there's a competing hospital that's opening up near the hospital I work at, and no one knows the release date. But for some reason, the hospital I work at knows when they're opening that hospital. It's just like they can dig and get some shit.
There are spies everywhere, man.
Yes,
everywhere.
Absolutely. But I don't know, Zach. Do you think Game Pass will be a bigger thing next gen for Xbox than physical game sales?
I do. I think they're really working to make it. I think that's what you're going to see for the next 2 years is a concentrated focus, Xbox brand wide, to make Game Pass and digital the focus and how they want to approach the next generation.
You think there'll be a price hike though?
I think that's going to be their justification for splitting prices. I think probably the next go around is where digital stays $59.99 and physical goes to $69.99. I think they'll use it.
Happening with the Switch.
Yeah. And I think they're going to lean into that as a reason why people should go Game Pass and go digital. That would be my guess.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened more now.
I think that's coming across the board in the future. I think that's just going to be gaming overall in the future. It's just going to be digital downloads. Like I was really reluctant, but I've kind of jumped on board just because price point's a little better. It's a little more convenient, and I like buying games from the comfort of my home rather than having to go out and get it or waiting to get it. God forbid, pre-ordering it on Amazon and then them taking it down or some bullshit like that. It's just simpler, and I really just think it's the future.
Well, that was another thing that was interesting is like, I don't know what Sony did to piss off Amazon or vice versa, but I heard on the CADcast this week that they were talking about how Amazon's not offering any of the Sony first party exclusives to pre-order or to really deliver on time, in that launch window. I don't know. That's just something that like stuck out to me as well. In this while we're talking about things that need to change, I think that's something that's definitely going to spark people to push into that direction. And I think it's about time. I think Microsoft initially, when they were going through that Xbox One launch and they were kicking around the idea of doing all digital, people were pissed. They still wanted that physical copy. I don't think people were ready for that type of model then. But I don't think Microsoft's plan at that point was really was a good concrete rollout for how a digital sale should go. Now that they have this Game Pass plan, I think it's a lot more consumer friendly I think it's a lot more. It's a lot easier to absorb that cost, knowing the results that you're getting, rather than just the upfront digital only purchase. So, I think in the next console, I think finally people will be ready to accept it as long as that model holds up.
Yeah.
It just makes me wonder about collector's editions, like the future of collector's editions. Will they just be without the game? Like that's all I'm thinking about right now.
They'll pull Battlefield. Yeah, they'll pull a Battlefield 1 to sell you a collector's edition without the game.
Yeah, which I've never like. What? I mean, I'm not one to buy stuff for my house anyway. But then it's like I don't even get the game. Like I don't even know if I like the game. I haven't played it before.
If you have the digital copy, why would you want a physical copy? You know what I mean? Yeah, I just want the extra goodies. I guess.
They could just throw a card with a key on it in the collector's.
Yeah, just
download it that way.
Print it on the bottom of the statue or something.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
just like a huge amiibo.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of rad. Wait, I'm back on board with collector's editions.
Help me lift this. The statue is 1/16 real size.
So what does Sony need to do in order to stay the market leader next generation? Like, what do they need to do to keep? Do you think Microsoft is a big enough threat to what they're doing and to make them think twice about their strategy, or what are you guys thinking?
No, I don't. I mean, Sony's top dog right now, and that, like you're saying, there's not. I don't think there's a lot of innovation going on over there. I think.
Yeah, but they were top dog PS2 generation as well, and look what happened there.
Yeah, I know, and I guess people who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. But I don't think that much is going to change on Sony's side. I mean, they need to learn to play well with others, essentially, and I think they learned that on the development side with the people who are making the games. But I don't think you guys, as optimistic as you are about the cross-platform play, I don't think that that's going to be something that's going to happen. I do think they will lose some people, like a core group of maybe hardcore gamers that are into that Call of Duty, that want a wider fan base, or if Fortnite is still a thing, I think they'll lose some players there. But ultimately, I still think they have enough IP and they have enough promising titles coming down the pipeline that it's not going to change the demand for the console.
Well, and to be clear, like I don't think that I'm not optimistic that they're going to change their ways because they're filled with love and care of the gaming community. I think they're going to change Fortnite and Fortnite only because it's directly affecting their stock prices. Like they have had a percentage drop since all this has happened, and they are a publicly owned company, and that makes people upset after a while. People don't like losing their money.
It's a PR nightmare too. If you look at their Twitter account, like everything they post on Twitter, every reply to it is
replies.
People.
It's completely irrelevant, but it's that's all they're that's all.
It's memes.
They need to get
Fortnite memes.
Oh, go ahead, Zach.
I was gonna say I just love seeing like on Twitter, it's the weekend flash sale, and it's like, oh, is crossplay available? Can I buy it? Like it's like that within 2 posts, within 2 replies. It's just like, oh my god, guys.
Yeah, they posted something about like Pride Week as well. It's like we're supporting Pride Week, and they had their little Pride like rainbow like icon up, and everyone's like, yeah, that's great. So where's that Fortnite crossplay coming from? Yeah. So
that's the thing too. It's just they're hiding almost. It seems to me like cowardice to a certain.
I think they're waiting for it to go away. I think they're
hiding and waiting. Yeah,
they're hoping that it'll go away, and so far it hasn't. Like if you look on all the major communities, like it's still a major thread that people are discussing. And it hasn't went away yet. 2 weeks into this, So.
I don't think it's going to go away until Fortnite popularity dies down, and I don't see that ending anytime soon. I think people are going to stay mad, and they're going to remember this in the future. And I do wonder if it'll make enough of a difference, but I do think it's gonna upset some people enough to where they're not even gonna bother purchasing the next console.
The only thing Sony can do right now to make their next console better is to get a better PR team. That's all they need to do right now.
They need to be stronger in the hardware department too. I mean, they have the fastest console right now, other than the Xbox One X. Like when they started this generation, they had the faster console, But at the same time, like I think Microsoft's going to come out swinging when it comes out, because Phil Spencer. So we'll go ahead and move on. Like what Microsoft needs to do to reach the market leader next gen. Phil Spencer has already stated that one of the things that they're looking into is better hardware out of the gate and not being sort of semi outdated right from the start. I think they're going to focus on a pretty beefy console, and I think that they'll sell it at a loss and use these services to sort of make up for it. I'm also saying that the studios that they purchased, Ninja Theory in general, to me, could rival some of the quality that's coming out of those Sony first parties if they really gave them the cash flow to do something special. I think that's the one studio that could get up there with the quality of your Naughty Dogs and stuff like that, because those guys are insanely talented. I've always loved that studio, and I think that's a huge acquisition for them. So I'm really curious to see how they utilize those developers.
Yeah, and just giving a studio like Ninja Theory a way bigger checkbook to work with is. That's exciting. That's exciting.
And it depends on how they utilize them too. If they're like, hey, Ninja Theory, develop the Fable game or something, then that would suck. If they say, hey, Ninja Theory, here's, $20 million, make what you want, that would be the good route to take.
It would, but I mean, like, obviously right now they're already hemorrhaging a crap ton of money to try to come out the gate strong on the next console. I just think at that point it's coming down to them just doing the actuarials on the forecast for the console to see how much money they can bleed out in the beginning, how much in the way of losses they can take to win that battle in the long run. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I don't know.
They already, trust me, they already have those tables. Those things have been forecasted and budgeted, and that's been done for years, like way before. If they ever decided to build another console, they never would move forward without that information. And it's Microsoft. They're a data company. It's what they do. Trust me, they just called up one of their teams and were like, hey, figure this out. Just talk that out. But but to add on to what you're saying, because I agree with you. I agree. But I think that they need to. They've probably already decided where their losses are going to come from and where their additions are going to come from. But what they need to make sure is they have to change the narrative around Microsoft and what's going on with them. Because in the 360, it was like, look at all these first-party titles, look at all these features online and community-based that no one else is giving you. Look how easy it is to play with your friends online. Look, so on and so forth. And by the time the next generation came out, everyone was like, yeah, everyone does that stuff. So what else you got? You can watch TV in your living room. Well, I did that already. Thanks. But
Don Matrick's got a pretty sweet gap in his teeth.
Yeah. But could I interest you in adding another guide that doesn't really work on top of your TV that doesn't already really, like, I'm selling you? Come on, I got a pretty good deal over here.
And you know what? I'm surprised they left that functionality into the Xbox One X.
Yeah, I am too. It's probably so baked into the OS that.
Yeah, I mean, they pulled the Kinect support. I mean, you have to get some fancy schmancy USB cable in order to use a Kinect now, and they don't even sell those anymore. And apparently, they're like a fortune on eBay. I'm surprised they left that in as well. But what do you guys think Nintendo has to play in all of this, or do they even matter at this point?
Well, I don't think I've always said Nintendo doesn't compete with Sony and Microsoft. They just don't. They're their own entity. Nintendo competes with Disney. They don't compete with. But I'm being serious. That's the market they're going after. Do
you think the online service that they're launching in September is kind of like competing with the other guys, though?
No.
It's way late to the party. I think they're just doing their own thing.
Because I'm actually surprised that they're even launching an online service. That's
same.
I will tell you that going back to our original thing. Sorry, Jim, but this Fortnite thing has made a very interesting allies out of Microsoft and Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Like, you're seeing open dialogue between these two companies.
Videos.
There's been rumors of meetings about things. So it would be extremely interesting to me going forward to see if Nintendo sees Microsoft as a leverage to, not, and people would look at it the other way around, like, oh, maybe Microsoft can leverage some Nintendo properties for it. But no. Microsoft has done all that legwork for all that online stuff that Nintendo has no idea. And it would be very interesting to me to see, like, so Mario Kart 10 launches on both systems, crossplay? Huh? I can see
that final boss. That's sick.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
I could see stuff like that.
Master Chief and Smash Brothers.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you're already starting to get achievements in Xbox by playing Fortnite on the Switch. So
No, it's Minecraft.
Oh, is it? Is it Minecraft?
Yeah, Minecraft.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, still, it's happening. It's starting. It's just.
I want Gears of Kong.
Yeah, so you actually make a really good point, Zach, because there was a study when this whole Fortnite fiasco was going on with Sony that there was a really big percentage of PlayStation 4 players who also own a Switch. So the Switch is sort of their secondary console. Hey, I can pop this off and take it with me kind of thing. And Sony's the I'm going to sit at home and play the higher end games kind of platform. What if Nintendo and Microsoft decide to work together in some capacity to where they can sort of push Sony out of the picture and try to steer it in a direction to where they're kind of scratching each other's backs, to where Microsoft would be the main platform and the Switch would be sort of the supplementary kind of dealio by letting them interact together in some certain ways?
I might be buying a Wii box next gen then. That's the way to do it. That's the way
that was a good name, Weebox.
See, no, never mind. I'm not going for it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the easy jokes anymore. I've grown. I'm a grown woman. I'm not doing it anyway.
But I am shocked that you can actually earn Xbox achievements on a Switch game, though. Like that's pretty rad.
That's what we call foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. And they released a video, like a play together video with Minecraft, and they had an Xbox player and a Switch player playing together, and there's this whole video. That video to me was a huge middle finger to Sony, sort of like Sony's video with the look, this is how you share a game with a friend, or let a friend borrow a game video that they did at the beginning of this generation, where they kind of slap Microsoft in the face with that. I mean, that's pretty much their like response to that with this, and I think it's kind of cool, and it makes things definitely interesting.
Yeah, I would also like to see some new IPs coming from Nintendo. I mean, I think they did a great job with the Mario and Rabbids. I mean, granted, it was
ARMS.
Yeah, I was thinking ARMS as well.
Well, I didn't really like ARMS. I mean, it was fun for a little bit, but I think it was more gimmicky than anything else. It was just kind of like
it had a pretty big group of people that really enjoyed it, though. I liked the game. I didn't love it, but I liked it. But I think Splatoon, that came out of the Wii U, is actually a pretty big new IP for them. Like a lot of people love Splatoon.
But that came out on the Wii U. Like, I mean, if like you see,
but it wasn't that long ago.
Well, it seems like an eternity ago. But I mean,
it was like 6 years ago at this point.
What?
Yeah, I mean, 6 years.
Yeah, but since then, what was their last new IP? Pikmin?
Yeah.
Picross? I don't know.
What about that wonderful 101 or whatever that was?
Yeah. I mean, like,
been around for a while, actually.
It just seems to me like with the success of the Switch, they're going back to the Wii U and being like, hey, we know you never played this game because we only sold one Wii U console, but here, try this on the Switch. Like, here, try this. Like, oh, you might like this game too. And it's just great. Like, you're just kind of like porting over everything now. And I mean, I understand.
I think that's filler.
Well, filler for, I mean, but.
Filler while they're developing all the good shit is the way I see it.
But that's the thing, is the good shit is like another Metroid game, and it's another like different Mario Party game.
And people are fans of those.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, is it's all the same old hat. Like, please, just, I mean, I think some of the problem is you see all these, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox, they have all these games that are pushing the hardware that's being used in that console right now. And granted, I mean, the Switch is more for the casual user, But I don't want to play a game that came out 2 years ago on the PlayStation 4 on my Switch. I don't want to play Doom. Like, I had that experience. I don't want to play Wolfenstein 2. I want to play something new on your console that's only exclusive to your console and maybe has a little bit more horsepower to it. So going into the next generation, I would like to see them team up with Microsoft to come out with something a little bit more robust as far as their console department. Maybe, get something a little bit more forward thinking rather than, 6 months old.
What about if the Switch 2 was its own console and it works just like now? It's a better, more streamlined, slate standalone experience. That
sort of like the DS to the 3DS.
Yeah, but it's just, prettier and streamlined, and it connects to your TV faster, maybe through Bluetooth, who knows, something like that. Wireless HDMI or something. But here's the kicker. You can buy an Xbox version that lets you play your Xbox games through your Switch.
I think I would go for that. I would
Right?
I would go for the Xbox version. I
would pay so much money to because I played half of my PS3 games through my Vita. I would just have it go through the Vita and play it portably in my own house. Yes, give me that. Let me download the Halo 6 straight to the HDMI card, run it through the Wi-Fi, I'm on board.
It's actually brilliant. That's totally brilliant. That's the only way they would get me to make the switch to Microsoft. You know what I mean?
I'm snapping my fingers over here.
So it sounds like you want to buy the tech from the NVIDIA Shield, and then you want to throw it into a Nintendo/Microsoft hybrid.
Sure.
It's just got interesting.
Frankenstein's monster together, right?
This is sick.
I don't think that'll ever happen, but it is kind of.
I like it. I like this fantasy land we're in. I'm into it.
And 3 years from now, we'll be like, "Thank you, Sony, for not allowing crossplay. None of this would be possible without you."
Right?
It's like Reggie and Phil Spencer will just form into one giant CEO.
Doing a fusion dance and just become the ultimate power.
Yeah.
Yes, a Dragon Ball reference. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have gone Voltron there, but I'll allow it. Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No.
So
Lena just
we can fist bump in spirit, Shannon. Let's fist bump in spirit.
Wait, hold on. Let me go like this, and you go. Oh.
What would we be?
Oh, I don't know.
Did anyone else think Shannon was about to fall over right there?
I
Yeah.
almost did.
it looks like he almost lost his
Forgot-
shit.
Y'all
There,
Y'all out there
No
should come up
words.
with our fusion name. But don't make fan art, please, for the love of God. Don't.
Oh no, please don't do that.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and
man.
move on to our weekly consultation this week. Now, I got something I'm pretty excited to talk about. So,
What? Tell us.
that is Luminous. Yes, Luminous Remastered. Stop your douche over there, okay? So, for anyone who has ever listened to me podcast over the past 3 years, you will know that I absolutely adore Luminous. The first game I actually played in the series was Electronic Symphony for the Vita. That was the first time I ever played Luminous because I never was a puzzle game guy. I would play Tetris like everybody else, I'd dabble in it, but I never really was big into puzzle games. And
was Meteos part of that?
No, I played a lot of Meteos.
But it's not associated with Luminous in any way.
No, the same guy designed both.
Okay, that's right.
I can never remember his name. The guy who made Luminous also made Rez and Meteos, and then he's making the Tetris Effect that's coming out this year.
Okay.
So with Luminous though, it was one of those situations where I was really wanting something on the Vita, and I was just kind of looking around, and there it was. And I know everyone talks about how awesome Luminous is. Since I'm a big music nerd, I figured anything that fuses music into the gameplay is like a big deal for me. So I picked up the Vita game, and I fell absolutely in love with it to the point where I even went back and picked up the older PSP games and played all those as well. I still think Electronic Symphony is the best one. I think it has the best soundtrack. It's the most memorable one for me. But the original Luminous is still like an absolute masterpiece. And most people that are Luminous fans agree that the original game is the best one in the series. And it probably is. But I like the music in Electronic Symphony more. So it really took a puzzle game that tried to do sort of the Tetris-like gameplay, but really flip it into something completely new to really get me into it, because Luminous doesn't play anything like any other puzzle game you've played before. So I mean, it's every single puzzle game seems to be a variation of Tetris or the stupid match 3 shit like Candy Crush and Bejeweled and all of that. You know, they're all the same. This game, like, it just completely did something different. Like, you have to rotate blocks of different colors. There's only 2 colors in each skin in the game, but you have to rotate them, and they're kind of in different patterns, and you have to create blocks of the same color. And brilliant gameplay. Every time you rotate a block, it makes noises that contributes to the beat of the song. And a lot of the music was made by the director of the game, and they also had some licensed music in there as well. But the original Luminous had a few licensed tracks, but it was mostly original music. And then they tried to put in a lot of licensed tracks into the second one. Like, there was like Holla Back Girl from Gwen Stefani was in there, and there's a Hoobastank song in it and stuff, and it was just really stupid, and a lot of people didn't like the second one.
Was it during the Rock Band era by any chance?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Did it have Dragula? Because I think
no,
Dragula's appeared in every game at some point.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I wonder if that song was in that game. I don't know. I'd have to look. But I wasn't the biggest fan of Luminous 2, but Luminous 2 had the Genki Rocket song in it, that Heavenly Star song that everyone shits their pants over, and is mad that's not in this one. So that was like the best thing about the second one. But anyways, so Luminous Remastered, it just came out on the Switch, the PS4, the PC, and the Xbox One. And this is a complete remaster of the original PSP game. So anyone is expecting it to be like Luminous Live on the 360, to where it was like a sort of like a greatest hits Luminous, is just a bunch of music that span across the entire series. That's not what this is. I think that's sort of an issue with the game for me, though, because I think that was a lost opportunity for them to really put a sort of a greatest hit spin on this and have a lot of music that was in other games that people loved. I would have preferred that, but still, Luminous, the original Luminous, has some amazing music in it. It has probably the most feature-packed package out of the entire series, and it still looks and plays great today. So they took that, they up-resed it. You can play it in 4K. Some of the enhancements that they made to some of the later Luminous games, they included in here as well. But it's just like small gameplay tweaks. It's nothing like major, and that's basically all this really is. So if you've played Luminous before, you really know what to expect. But the big deal here for me is that it just revisits this game and lets people try to experience it that hasn't before, because I still feel like Luminous is a very niche game, and not a lot of people are like really hardcore into it. It's kind of like a small community of people that love it, and it's an opportunity for people to really get out there and try it. And it's only $15, so that's a steal. And there's a lot of content in this game. There's like a puzzle mode, there's a challenge mode, there's all kinds of different challenge modes that you can try. There's like an endless mode that the game just keeps going, and you try to rack up the highest score you can. There's online leaderboards. They added in the mode where you can make like a playlist of all your favorite songs and just play those songs only. That wasn't in the original Luminous, and it's in this one. So it just gives people a chance to really play the game. And if you have any interest in this game whatsoever, I say buy it, because I picked it up and I am absolutely hooked to this game all over again. I sat and played it. I played a lot at work. Like, I'm lucky I didn't get busted while I was at work, because once I tried it out, I was fucking hooked on this thing again. And I got home and I started playing it again. It's one of those games where I could start playing it and 2 hours go by and I didn't even realize it, because I'm having so much fun. If you don't like puzzle games, this is the game that might change your mind, because it totally did that for me. If it wasn't for this, I probably wouldn't even be into puzzle games anymore. I wouldn't have bought something like Puyo Puyo Tetris, when that came out, if it wasn't for something like Luminous that really got me into puzzle games. I will say that this game on the Switch has the best implementation for HD Rumble I have ever seen, because they use the HD Rumble in the Joy-Cons to mimic like a bass speaker or like a subwoofer. So the beat of the song is inside of the Joy-Con. So when you've got your hands wrapped around this Switch in handheld mode and you're playing the game, you can feel the beat of the song thumping in these Joy-Cons, and it feels like you just have your hands wrapped around two subwoofers. It's extremely cool. The only problem with it is that it'll kill the life of your Switch. I noticed the battery life will drastically lower in this game. Like I went from like 100 to 50% in like 2 rounds of playing it, which is about an hour.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah, so it drains it about as much as like Breath of the Wild does, like a really like intense graphical game. Probably because those Joy-Cons are just being hammered. But you can disable that feature if you want to. You don't have to use it, but I think it's extremely cool. You can even split the Joy-Cons off and add 2 more, and you can put 4 Joy-Cons and like strap them to your body, and it'll just like pulsate the beat throughout your body. Which is pretty rad. Like I just feel like I should like drop a bunch of them in my pants and play the game or something.
Is this suddenly an episode of Seminary? Because I can't tell if you're joking or not.
No, I'm not joking. I am not joking.
What?
Nope, you can totally do that. I only have 2 Joy-Cons. I never bought extra Joy-Cons, so I can't do it with like 4. But yeah, I could like take the Joy-Cons off and I could connect my Pro Controller and I could slip those into like my pockets or somewhere on my body, and they'll pulsate to the beat while I'm playing the game.
Oh my God.
I did play the game with a Pro Controller, and it has HD rumble in the Pro Controller, but since the controller's a lot bigger and thicker, like the rumble's not as strong, so the effect isn't quite as cool on the Pro Controller. But also, this game strangely forces you to use the D-pad. You can't use the analog stick at all. So if you're playing in handheld mode, you have to use those little buttons, like the face buttons on the left Joy-Con, in order to control the game. I don't think it's a problem at all. I played just fine with it that way. But for anyone that would be bothered by that's you can't use a joystick, the analog stick.
I'd be more bothered by putting extra rumble in my pants.
Well, that sounds like something glorious to me. So that's your problem.
I'm just actually trying to like explain to your boss at work that this is for hand-eye coordination and it actually helps you at your job.
Mm-hmm.
Like you getting caught and being like, no. This is helpful. I swear, I promise. And I can dance better. My rhythm's better. I'm less white now. It's cool, man. I can shuffle. It's good.
Yeah, I'm more productive with this Joy-Con on my ass.
Whoa, Jesus.
and there's the line. Okay. Found it.
Crossed it. Right, now we're here.
But yeah, so yeah, to me that adds like an extra layer of coolness to the game that the original didn't have. Is just
you just can't follow up that statement with that adds an extra coolness.
I like because I'm with it.
Man, I can't move on. Like I'm just,
So in 12 episodes, I've learned I can't use Elena's Switch and I can't use Josh's.
Yeah.
There's a lot of my stuff you shouldn't use, man. Trust me. just be careful, okay?
Oh, Lena, that was the best response.
We went so far past the line, I can't even see it anymore.
I had so many jokes I wanted to make, and then we didn't, and now we're doing it. Let's just settle down, man. Like I could use those rumbles and soul. No. Yeah. All right, we're done. Let's go.
Yeah. All games need to utilize the rumbles for my body. And
yeah, man, it's a free massage tool.
This is getting painful.
I have really tense shoulders. Okay, I work a really, really difficult job, and it could be utilized in a really great way. So I don't know what you're doing.
You can see like sticking them underneath your armpits and you're just vibrating all over your chair.
I'm just balancing them on my shoulders like, oh, I'm relaxed.
I will actually try that out. Not the up my butt part, but the actual like sticking them in my pockets and seeing what that's like. Like I'll try that out. I haven't tried.
I'm genuinely curious. I really am, because at first I really thought you were joking, and to know that they actually use that as a marketing ploy and that's something you can do and that they intended, I'm just like, I almost want to buy another controller just to fuck with that. Like, yeah, I'm buying this game, by the way. Like, I've decided after I'm buying it.
I'll pick it up too.
No, but I'm very interested because I like the combination of music and puzzle, and I'm looking for something that's not Puyo Tetris, because I bought that game and I have a little bit of buyer's remorse. It's fun, but I shouldn't have spent that much money on it.
I bought that game and I wanted to play it online. I thought it'd be fun, and I was getting destroyed by Korean people.
Yep.
Watching someone play Tetris and Puyo Puyo at such a high level is like there's no way in hell I can compete with that.
Well,
And
one
that's
thing
like everyone that plays online.
For real. And one thing I've noticed is that the Japanese players are like mad good at Puyo and not so great at Tetris, and American players are mad good at Tetris and not so good at Puyo. And it makes for a really fun interaction, but at the end of the day, you still get your ass beat. Like, or at least I do. Yeah.
I just like saying Puyo.
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 But yeah, so again, there's going to be people that will probably be turned off by this game just to the fact it's a puzzle game. You know, not the most high selling genre out there other than Tetris. Everyone buys Tetris and loves Tetris. But I'm telling you guys, this is a game that's worth playing. It's very inexpensive. It's on every platform you can think of. I think the Switch version is the way to go just because of the handheld functionality on the go. Luminous has always played very well on the go. And this that just feeling the music in your hands as well as hearing it is just a really cool feature to the game. I thought was really clever, and I hope this game sells well enough for them to include DLC, because as of right now, just all the music that's in this game is just from the original Luminous, and there's so much awesome music they could tap into from the previous the other two Luminous games that I hope they include that in here if it sells really well. But this is my addiction right now. This is all I've been playing other than Fortnite, and I'm trying to kind of get back into the groove of it. And because I used to score compete on the Vita one, and this was my game I would lay in bed and play before I'd go to bed almost every single night. And I did that for about 2 years, and I'm pretty good at Luminous because
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm coming to you for advice when I start getting frustrated and wanting to put it down. I do have one question though. What general genre of music? I imagine it being more like
it's like techno EDM stuff,
like PR type stuff, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. It's very EDM. Yeah. So if you don't like techno music, obviously you're not going to like this. But yeah, I'm a sucker for that stuff. So obviously it clicks with me. But I'm really excited for the Tetris effect because watching gameplay of that game, it's essentially just Luminous with Tetris. Like it even transitions the songs just like Luminous does after you hit like a certain score, and it has the whole visual audio synchronization going on with the light show and everything, and very much the same game except they just pulled out the Luminous puzzle part and put it in Tetris. So I'm really excited for that. But
when you play, do you play with headphones or do you play without? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I would highly recommend playing with headphones unless you have unless you're playing it like with like a surround sound system or something.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a much better experience. Yep.
Makes sense.
Yep. So that's all I've been playing this week. Shannon, what you got, man?
I kind of went with the yin and the yang this weekend. So
we've already talked about Atlanta Switch.
Yeah, I know. So I got Unravel 2, and it's something that I seemed really I was really interested from E3 when I saw it. Just the mechanics of it all, the fact that it was more of like a mellow kind of like puzzle thinking strategy type game. Playing with the two Yarn people is definitely it's fun. It like the puzzles, the way they incorporate using both people, it kind of brings me back to like a Portal 2 experience, but more simple, but yet at the same time more advanced. Like so, I mean, like
you have the original.
No, I haven't.
I really like the original game.
Yeah, and it was something I always wanted to play, and it's just something I never got around to playing. Just, life got busy, or like my desire waned, as, other things were coming onto the horizon I was getting more excited about. And it just got overlooked. But, with the lull that's coming right now with video games for me, like I wanted something different. Hollow Knight just royally pissed me off. So, I wanted something to fill that void. So it was a nice, calming, almost Zen-like experience. I'm only halfway through the game right now, but the level designs, it's not so much the story that's driving me, but the puzzles themselves, the physics behind them, the mechanics, everything feels smooth. Everything feels good. If you don't pass a level or you can't figure out what's going on with the puzzle, you can always get hints. So you you don't get stuck on something for too long. It doesn't feel like you're banging your head against the wall to try to find the solution to the puzzle. If the levels progress well, there's bonus missions. You can change the colors of your yarnies. If you're playing with one person, there are times where you don't want to control both people. So if you just hold down the triangle button, I'm playing on the PlayStation. So if you just hold down the triangle button, they fuse together. So it's kind of cool to watch like your colors kind of like your
fusion
colors,
dance. That's all I'm thinking about, man.
your colors mingle. So I got some pretty awesome colors because I did some of the bonus missions to unlock some of the extra characters. So I got some pretty rad colors that I'm just kind of rocking when I'm playing.
So when you play solo, you don't control both of them. I figured you'd have to control one and then switch to the other.
You do, yeah. So there's three different. So you can control both of them separately, or if there's an area where you don't need to control both separately, if you just walk over to the other one and you hold down a triangle button, they fuse together, and then they just then you can navigate the level. And it makes a difference because if you're combined, you weigh more than if you're separated.
That's cool.
That takes into it. That's some of the stuff that is taken into account in the physics of the game. So it's pretty cool. Like if you're swimming around, sometimes it's easier to because like there are a couple areas where you have to swim. You don't sink as fast if you're swimming like as one of the people, whereas if you're with both of them and you stop for like a second, you tend to sink a lot faster. So there are some extra things that you have to think about. But for the most part, graphically it's amazing. I did that whole turkey run, like the thing they showed in the at the E3 demo, and that was a fun run. And then there's a couple ones later with some fish and things like that. I'm not bored with it. I love it. If I'm stressed out and I just want something to play where I can think about something else that's fun that gets me to just kind of calm down. That's a game that's very calming for me. That's
Luminous with me. That's like my Zen game. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I highly recommend getting it. I think it's like $20, and it's well worth the price. I mean, I've put in probably 8 to 10 hours already, and like I said, I'm only halfway through the game, and it's just because I'm exploring so much and trying to just understand the physics of what these two Yarnies can do with the environment.
So do you miss not having a second player with you? Because I think that's the reason why I just completely ignored this game, because I know I'm not going to play it with someone, especially without online co-op. So do you think it's an issue? Like, does the game seem like it's less fun or more annoying to play it by yourself since it's kind of designed in the co-op in a way?
I think it's quite the opposite. I think it would be more annoying to play with somebody because you only have so much yarn between the two of you. Like you still have the issue from the first one where like you run out of yarn. Now you run out of yarn. If you run out of yarn, you're tethered to the other person. So now when you run out, you pull that other person the direction that you're going. So if you're trying to solve a puzzle or you're trying to if you're trying to use a catapult to launch somebody over, and you don't watch where your string is because it's possible to get tangled around objects, you can rocket that dude up into the air and then he gets snagged and then he's going to pull you probably not all the way across the screen, but you'll get pushed over. I think if I had another person who, even if I was communicating with them, but they wanted to go explore somewhere else and I'm trying to figure out this puzzle, or there's a jumping puzzle and we both have to be on time. If they don't want to jump on my back or they don't want to fuse with me, I think it would kind of be a little frustrating to try to get through some of these mechanics without being able to control both people.
Yeah, see, I was worried about you'd hit a situation where you'd have to need the control of two people, or it'd be really frustrating to do it without that second person being in control. So that makes me happy that you say it's actually the opposite, because now my interest in this game is just returned.
Yeah, dude, I would get it. I mean, it's a fun game. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it does follow the same storyline as the first one, where there's memories that you're trying to unlock these memories, and
I like that part. I thought that was strangely moving at times, the way the first game did it.
I don't know what this one's trying to convey just yet. It's kind of
feelings.
Well,
yeah, it's weird, but
it's weird because it sounds like you were describing all this teamwork, and I was just like, man, this sounds like a metaphor for. It sounds a lot like the red string of fate. And I noticed that the yarn. I don't know much about this game, but was the first game? Did it touch base about the red string of fate at all? Because now that there's two people, you were talking about the back and forth and how you have to work together to overcome obstacles, and you guys are always tied together. There's no way around it. That just reminds me a lot of the red string of fate, which is basically. I don't know, like lore that's you're tied together and you have to work together, and no matter what, you'll always come back together, and together you overcome you triumph together, you overcome, you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Now that you're mentioning that, I think that's kind of what this one's trying to do, because I mean, with the two Yarnies, there's two people in the background that are constantly running around and running from something, but you can't tell what they're running from. But yeah, it does look like it's that train of thought is more applicable to the sequel than the original. I think the original was just the patient it was like a patient with Alzheimer's, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
And this game starts out with Yarny, like the little red Yarny from the first game, by himself, and then like a disaster happens, and it isn't until the second one's introduced that he can continue, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know, like, because you see like the ship and you're on the ship, and like there's a catastrophe, you get washed up on shore, and then there's like a whole bunch of debris from the ship, and there's like this luggage container, and the blue Yarny is inside one of the luggage containers. So I don't know if he was stowed away on the ship, if he was on the ship with you, or like if it just happens to be like a coincidence that like you both end up on this shore together, and like the storm just kind of washed you both up there. I'm hoping it'll be resolved later on in the story of the game. But all in all, right now, I mean, I pretty much said all I can about the mechanics and enjoyment that it's bringing me. So it's a breath of fresh air from Hollow Knight. That's all I can say.
All the rage that Hollow Knight brought.
It's washed it all away. Yes.
Yeah. It's unraveled it all.
I did love listening to Shannon talk about Hollow Knight. I just like to say,
I like hearing anybody rage, man. That's just so funny.
Dude, oh my God. You should have seen how pissed off I was at that game this week when I just, oh man, like the string of cuss words that were flying out of my mouth, like, were just never ending. Like
this is why we got to start streaming, man. I can't wait to see this stuff in real time. I don't do watching.
I kind of gave up on that game too, just because like not that I didn't hit like a frustration point like you did. I just like the motivation for me to play just isn't there. Like,
am I having fun? Am I really having fun? Yeah. If not, oh well, I hear it. I put it back on the table.
And I would like to see Zach's take on that game. Like I think Zach might be potentially the guy that would like that game more than us.
Well, and it's I've looked at it, and it's something I've made the mental choice that when it comes around on a sale, I'll probably end up grabbing it, because like you guys have scared me off it enough just with your kind of attitude that I'm like, well, I'd probably not.
But Shannon and I are both very much in the minority. Like, people love Hollow Knight.
I know, but like, yeah, like it's weird for me that you had the reaction when I've heard people talk about this game being kind of soulsy and being like having that learning curve and all that stuff that you kind of dig.
Yeah.
And for you to be like, I'm out on it, is a huge waving red flag for me.
Well, so does Neo. Like, Neo has that same Dark Souls appeal, and that game didn't click with me either.
That's a good point. Yeah,
people love that game too. It's just it just didn't have the secret sauce. Like From Software has the secret sauce. It just works for me, and other people who imitate it, and like the Surge, like that's a Dark Souls like game that I didn't really get into either.
You know what? I downloaded that one. I need to play that. I got it and never played it, and I really need to change
it's
that.
Okay. It's okay. They got a sequel coming out. That was at E3, and no one even mentioned it.
Yeah, that's the reason I want to play this first one, because I want to see. So
yeah.
But what was it? So that was Unravel 2. What was it? So the other side of my yin, the yang part, if you will, I guess, is the shoot 'em up twin stick shooter Nex Machina. I don't know if I pronounced
I
that.
got this too.
Machina. Yeah. So I should thank you for putting that up on our Twitter feed, by the way, because when I saw it was
that was
$6,
Robbie.
Was
that
it
was
Robbie?
all Robbie. Yeah.
Robbie, thank you if you're paying attention. Thank you very much. So I went out and picked it up like right away for $6. You can't go wrong. And that game, man, I love it. I love everything about it. The soundtrack, how good it feels to just lay into like enemies with the power up, the weapons you have, the dash, the special weapons you have. Like, oh, just it's buttery, like everything about it.
Take that soundtrack
and
imagine that soundtrack with the beats
in my
your
pocket.
Hands or in your in your hands, and that's Luminous. Like if you like that music and Luminous would be right up your alley if you like the puzzle gameplay. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
Right up there. Yep.
Well, I mean, honestly, like, what do you think about it? I mean, how did you enjoy it? I mean,
yeah,
what was the experience like?
Yeah, I think this game's great. I like Zach was talking about what people are kind of have like a hate boner for Sony right now. Like I'm kind of on that. I'm kind of on that too because like Next Machina was on sale on the PlayStation Store and it was the same price on the Steam sale, and I bought it for Steam just because I was just like kind of salty with Sony with the whole Fortnite thing. And so I'm playing it on PC, and I tried playing it with a mouse, and it just didn't feel good at all. So I plugged in an Xbox One controller, and that did the trick. But yeah, the game looks great. I love the voxel effect, how everything's just blowing up with those voxels.
Yeah.
That looks really cool. The games are super.
I'm always a sucker for voxels.
Yes.
Like, legitimately. Yeah.
Good old voxels.
Yep. I know. It gets me every time, though. It does.
Yeah. It's very cathartic, I guess, when they explode and scatter around everywhere. But the game feels, to me, it feels like a true successor to Robotron. It feels very much like Robotron, how you're running around. It's a twin stick shooter, and you're saving all the little humans, the people that are running around and trying to prevent them from getting sucked up by the enemies. And the same company that made Resogun made this game, and it's very like techno heavy with the music, and that's sort of an appeal. And the game's super fast paced. I like this more than Resogun, and I know that's a game that people love to death. And I liked Resogun, but I didn't love it. This game I like a lot more.
On that one, I burned down on
Yeah, I think this game's a lot better, and it's sort of similar to Resogun because Resogun was it was another game where you had to collect like save the humans and stuff, but this one plays more like Robotron than it does like a space sim, not space sim, so like a space like shoot 'em up like Resogun was. But yeah, I think I paid like $2 for it because I had some Steam credit left. And
Nice.
yeah, I definitely do not regret it all. I wish this was on the Switch. That'd be fun to play.
Yeah, it's what was I gonna say? The difficulty though ramps up pretty fast, like from the beginner to the normal experienced. I started on the easy levels just to see what the game was about, and it got its hooks in me deep. And then I went through the whole game on easy, and it was still a pretty decent challenge. I mean, like the difference between easy to beginner or to normal is on easy you have the infinite the continues. With the normal you only get like 99, which I mean it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you see how fast those monsters are coming at you on the from easy to beginner, that speed difference, it's enough to throw you off guard, especially in those heavily populated areas. So it's definitely something I think I'll go back to more often, especially now that I've unlocked all the areas, so I can do the free play in each individual section. You can't do that until you've hit each section in the arcade mode. So now that I can practice, I think I'm going to try to maybe play on the harder levels.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't save your progress in this game.
No,
right?
you can't.
Yeah. It's like a full blown arcade mode. Like you gotta marathon that bad boy. So how long did it take you to finish it?
I want to say like 2 hours.
Okay, so that's not too hateful.
No.
I played it for about an hour and I quit and realized it didn't save my progress, and now I have to start from the beginning. But the game is designed for you to like chase scores and stuff, so it's like it's not really designed for you to like get a narrative experience and continue where you left off. But yeah, if anyone has not played that game, I feel like it was kind of under the radar. It was one of Robbie's favorite games from last year, and yeah, it is pretty rad. I really enjoyed what I've played so far.
Nice.
All right, Elena, what you got going on this week?
Well, I did want to talk about this with Zach a little bit because I don't know if he's played, but we are friends now. I think the Pokemon Go update has been taking up a little more of my time than usual. So,
have you gotten a shiny Charmander from Zach yet?
Oh, this is the only meme we have on the podcast, and I fucking hate it. I'll put $1 in the swear jar. I'm sorry, but like, no, I see. Oh God, you guys. No, I don't have a shiny Charmander yet, but man, do I want one, because let's just agree. If anybody wants to fight me on this, they can. But isn't shiny Charizard the greatest shiny of them all?
It's up there. The Black Charizard just is pretty freaking money. Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's the best shiny.
Yeah.
Like,
So
there's
can
no
you
other
guys
shiny
explain
out
this
there.
to me? Because like, what's a shiny Pokemon? Like, is that some kind of rare one or something?
So basically they're color variants. What a shiny is, and they in the game when they come on the screen they like sparkle a little bit, but in Pokemon Go, in the original Pokemon games, there was a very limited amount of ones. Like originally, it was the OG Gold Magikarp you could catch that would evolve into the red Gyarados.
Yeah, that was the very first shiny. Yeah, and finding one in the game is like finding not in Pokemon Go, but finding one in one of the core games is like winning the lottery. It's insanely difficult. Like
and so now they've worked it out into Pokemon Go's world where they're starting to launch shiny variants of the legendaries that you can catch in raids. When they do community days, they turn the sliders up. So that's how, if you're out there on community days, you'll be able to get 1 or 2 shinies if you're doing it the entire time. Which is how I got my shiny Charizard to begin with.
Damn it. I'll take a shiny Tyranitar. That's what I'm going for. So,
and then Squirtles are coming. Yeah, that's the next.
Shiny Squirtles? Ooh.
Yeah, that's the next community.
Their color variant's kind of whack though, right? You guys can't see the webcam, but Shannon's face palming so hard. I think he's asleep. He's just frustrated. Let me be a child. I need this. I have so many responsibilities and bills to pay. Give me this.
I've actually considered reinstalling this game on my phone because I haven't played it since it like first came out, and I've heard a lot has changed.
My biggest criticism is the game without the Pokemon Go Plus, whether you get the Gocha or the Pokemon Go Plus itself, whether it's a knockoff or whatever. Without that, the game is not fun. I do not like playing that game without the Pokemon Go Plus. So I'm excited they're releasing, we talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago as the last podcast or podcast before, but just the new one coming out. I'm excited about that. But
are you talking about the wristband thing?
Yeah. And the Joy-Con Pokeball, like
didn't they implement that to the Apple Watch to where like you can use an Apple Watch for that same functionality? Because I have an Apple Watch and I wonder
they absolutely did. I would give it a shot, but I don't know how well it works. So,
so what does that Go Plus thing do? Does it just like tell you where the Pokemon are? Does it like give you an advantage to catching them? Like what?
So it basically makes the game not a battery suck as much as it usually is, because I remember when I first played it back in like July of 2016, I think it was 2016. It was just killing my battery life, and it wasn't fun. I was dick deep in my cell phone. I was walking with my friends, and they were like, "Elena, put your fucking phone down." And I was like, "Nah, I gotta catch this Pikachu, boo, I gotta." And being able to have the the little Pokeball on hand makes it a good bit easier to be a little more social in social events when you shouldn't be using your cell phone. You know what I mean?
And you Pokemon around.
Essentially, yeah. So you can use it to catch Pokemon, and it'll do a beep beep beep, and then if you
flip
catch
your wrist at it or something.
No, you just press a button. It's a simple button that you press.
Hold on, guys. I'm getting Pokemon right now.
I gotta catch this Pokemon real quick.
You're gonna get kicked out of a lot of restaurants. That's all I gotta say.
Oh man, I have played. I have a decent story about this. I play that thing so much that sometimes when my boyfriend goes to hold my hand, I'll be holding it in that hand, and he'll hold my hand, and he'll like slowly let go and turn his head and look at me. and just shake his head and just like, we just keep walking, and there's like that silent shame. But it's better than me, staring at my screen, because I've seen people straight up walk into traffic like playing that game when it first came out. So I think the iteration of the Pokemon Go Plus, and it's important and it's useful. But
my favorite thing about that game is when it's not funny, it actually kind of sucks, but when like people people are robbing people, they're like, hey man, we got those Charmanders over here, did you see that? And they're like, oh really? You whip out your phone and they just like mug your ass.
Yeah, man.
I
remember stopping an old Asian lady from walking into traffic in a parking lot, and I remember reprimanding her too, because we had to physically grab her because she would have walked in front of a car if we hadn't, and she was like, I need to, and I mean this, I genuinely mean this. She said, I wanted to catch this Pikachu, and I was like, you need to be aware of your surroundings. And that was prior to, I don't know if you remember this, Zach, they used to not even have that alert at the beginning of the game. This game is just, it's really intense.
And the original alert was like, stop going onto other people's property, you jackasses.
Don't trespass.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, also be aware that cars are on the road. Also that, like, do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, with this iteration, they basically added friends. You can now send somebody a friend request and trade items with them. You can not trade items. Sorry, you can give gifts, and you can trade Pokemon as well. But it's very subpar in my opinion. And I wanted to get Zach's opinion on this because I wanted so much more from it, and it takes the fun out of trading because you have to be physically near the person. I have friends in New York. I have friends in Texas. I have friends in Tokyo who I can't trade with them. I'll never be able to trade with them, and that's not fair. And then it costs in-game currency as well, which in my opinion, I don't know about you guys, but Stardust is tremendously hard for me to get. I don't know if I'm spending it on my Pokemon to level them up, or I have 2K right now. How am I going to get 40,000 with maximum levels to trade a legendary? And if you have minimum friend levels, it's 1 million. It's just, it's not fun. So what's the point,
I think the distance factor is to stop people from just gaming the system. Setting up Discord bots to run things and trade things for them. I think they're trying to get people to actually play the game, not play how to break the game. Now that being said, I think Niantic's gone too far with some of it, with essentially, and I apologize everyone who does not give a shit about Pokemon Go, but me and Elena are going deep diving real quick.
This is for us.
Yeah. So
we'll be back up in a second. Hold on.
Welcome to Pokemon from A to Z with Elena and Zach.
To the Pokepod.
Yes. My webcam's not working, or I would do the Shannon half moon thing you guys were doing.
Shannon and I are just standing here playing with our facial hair while you guys are talking about
using with Zach and Spirit.
Yep. Thank you for clarifying the facial hair. And so they used to allow scanners that would, people on Discord and other things would post up where Pokemon were popping. Like, if you had rare things, like you could find where the nests were, or if you needed just a super rare one, and like unknowns pop up really randomly, totally rare, but you could find a list that they would you could find on Twitter and all this stuff. And then Niantic killed it. And for me and my wife, we play the game so much less since then.
Yep.
Like, there were so many times when we would be at the house, like getting ready for bed, and someone would be like, oh, there's 100% this, that, and everything over like 3 blocks away. And like one of us would get in the car with all the phones. And
I remember that summer, summer 2000. Oh man, it really did get people out of their house. And I think that's what Niantic's trying so desperately to grab onto, because part of the reason I enjoy the Pokemon Go Plus as much as I do is because I can utilize it in my car during my commute, because you guys, it does track when you're driving, as long as you're driving, I think it's below 25 miles an hour. You can get Pokestops from that. So I do utilize that too a little bit more than I should, because I'm lazy and I don't like leaving my house. So I get what Niantic's trying to do, but I don't want to leave my fucking house. So let me trade with my friends at my house, please.
I remember when this game first came out and I was playing it, like there'd be Pokestops at like there'd be like gas stations and shit. And like people would actually post signs on the door of the gas station like, hey, we're a Pokestop, come on in. Like they're trying to get business.
Restaurants would do it.
Yeah. It's crazy how people we're still talking about this game.
because
thought it was a
somehow
fad.
it's still fun to certain people. It's still fun to me, and it's kind of what I think about Fortnite is when is it, if it's gonna die, when is it gonna happen, and how is it gonna happen? I always wonder about things like that. Like
Mhm.
I
Well,
think
and
Go
that's
ahead.
also, I was going to say, that's also a large disconnect that I think a lot of people are having between Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is Pokemon Go as it stands right now is 20 times more complicated than it was when it was first released. When that game first came out, yeah,
It was bare bones.
the one everyone played was as bare bones as it got, and it was pretty boring after a little while. But slowly but surely they've been improvements and improvements and and there's a lot of like fighting depth now when you need raid bosses and how you're going to build out your team and how you're going to level up people and using TMs to get your right moves that you need to make sure things are leveled up correctly. There's a lot of, they added a lot of like weird nuance that you have to kind of go out of the game to get and to
Yes,
figure
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Like download your Pokegenie app to figure out what the hell you even have.
I knew
You
it.
know?
I knew you
Yeah.
were. I knew it. Yes, we're friends. Yes. Awesome. What's your highest IV? Anyway, okay. So
Yeah, yes.
we can't talk about this forever, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll move on. But it's one of those like, so that's where I think the disconnect is coming because people are picturing that first game and being like, oh, they're making a Pokemon game, but a Pokemon Go game. It's like, well, that's not as vanilla as it used to be.
It's
Like
it's more
there's
of a
lot
chocolate
more to-
swirl now. There's
yeah.
there's some stuff there. There's some sprinkles on
I-
top. It's
I-
still, once you eat the top, it's still a little boring, but it's
I love
still
your
ice cream.
metaphors. I'm
I
all
like
over it.
ice cream. Yeah, it's still ice cream, man. I'll still eat it happily. Like, so fuck it. No, but I guess the long and short of it is the TLDR is it's they added new features. They're not as fun as I wanted them to be, and that's more or less that. Let me trade with somebody who lives in New York, please. Come on, Niantic.
Gotcha. Zach, what you got going on this week?
I'm the only thing I had going on this week that you guys already covered last week. It was Yoku's Island Express.
Please give
And
us your opinion on it.
I think it's incredibly inventive. I think it's really fun. Pinball Metroidvania. Pinboy, yes. Yeah, did you play that on the Sega Master System? But pinball Metroidvania type game, I just think is an incredibly clever take on the genre. There are moments where are face smashingly frustrating when you just need to get the ball through the goddamn ramp over on that side and there's slugs exploding all over the place and you just can someone stop the slugs just for a second. I can only vacuum up one. Like, but anyway, but I think the world that they build is amazing. I love the music. The music in that game rules. It's just a fun little world that I had no idea this game even existed until other podcasts were talking about it, and that's kind of how I discovered it and looked up a couple Let's Plays of it and stuff, and was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. And I think they nailed the pinball. The shots and taking and making shots feels good. It feels like it should when you play these games. And I think the ball, when it rips around on the ramps or goes through, some of the special zones where it's riding the rails through a big part of the world or something like that, it's cool to watch. It's fun. The way the game breaks out. I like the economy with the little fruit. I love the little denizens of this island that are all like weird, crazy creatures. I'm really into it. I was shocked myself how much I like this game.
I still can't wrap my head around how this is a Metroidvania game and a pinball game.
Yeah, but it's so cool that it is.
So do you progress through the game like a pinball game?
Yeah, so essentially you are a dung beetle pushing a ball and you're delivering mail. That's the big picture view here. And things go wrong. You need to help people out and get to other places on the map. So it's a huge, Ori and the Blind Forest style map. Orivania, can I use it like that?
Okay, so is this like Sonic Spinball?
No, it's
where you can control a character and you're doing pinball at the same time.
Yeah, so you're pushing the ball around. That's kind of how your walk around the map is. You like push the ball dung beetle style all around, and then you'll hit areas that have flippers.
Mm-hmm.
And you use the paddles like the flippers to launch yourself up. And then once you're up in the air, it becomes pinball, and you have to use your pinball skills at that point to navigate to the next area and to get through things. And I mean, that can be incredibly frustrating at times when you're going up, 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 and you miss a ramp or miss a hole and you fall. That gets incredibly frustrating when you miss some things. I was stuck in this one area where I just could not make the shot to get out of the room I was in. And that was like, they needed to fix in this somewhere. There needs to be a special or a power up or something you can get to like get out of that situation. And there isn't one, but like a Metroidvania, you'll acquire skills. Like there'll be ways to now bust through these barriers that you couldn't get through before, or deal with these monsters that you couldn't deal with that were cutting off part of the map for you. And it's essentially like as you complete little quests for people, there's a guy, the slugs are a huge issue and you got to go find this guy and he gives you the slug tools to deal with it. And all that is a vacuum that lets you suck the slugs up and you can explode them on things. But by doing that, you now can explode these like huge, these balls of thorns that are blocking paths. So you can suck the slugs up and blow those up and open up parts of the map and stuff like that. So it's a Metroidvania in that style, but your big progression pieces are all pinball. So it's pretty rad.
Yeah. Did you get to the I think it's the guys who are building the rocket yet, Zach? Have you gotten to that guy yet?
No, I have not gotten to him yet.
All right. I was going to say that was probably the most frustrating one for me. And it wasn't even that frustrating, but it is one of those, it does go to that trope that you were talking about where like you have to be really accurate with your pinball shot to get you into that next section. And most of the sections are pretty forgiving. Like you get into that section, you don't have to worry about getting booted out of it. But that was like the first one I really ran into where like you could fall out of that section and it was a pain in the ass to get back into. So I'll be interested to see how you feel once you get to that.
Yeah, because there was a section where right before you get the slug tools, where it was just a circular room and I had to get a ramp on the upper right hand. And there's another ramp right below it. And my God, I just could not make that. It was just, I was very, very close to rage quitting that one because I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. I think that I don't know why, but like it's that was definitely one of the more aggravating little sections. But it gets definitely, I think it gets better like as it goes on. I think once you get the other power ups, I think you'll have a lot more fun.
Once you have more tools, yeah.
I'm very close to pulling the trigger on this game.
Get it, just get it.
Yeah, it's just incredibly unique. I haven't really played anything. It's basically a really fun take on both things. It's a fun pinball game and it's a fun Metroidvania game.
Okay, yeah, I might grab it. We'll see. Is that all you got this week, man?
Yeah, pretty much. I was in Vegas, so I didn't do much gaming out there. Well, blackjack and Pai Gow and things, but not video gaming.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and head to the weekend review. So, Zach, I'm just going to go ahead and have you start, man, since you just kind of sort of segued into Vegas there. So you had a little Vegas trip to us last week, right?
I did.
So, was there a lot of sin and debauchery going on?
There was a lot of amazing meals, which is what. So everyone, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Oh no, the craziness. No, Vegas is a lot of amazing restaurants now. Like that's what Vegas is. Like if you want to go eat really, really good, get you to Vegas because it's
a lot of buffets.
Get you some truffle fries.
Yeah. No, I mean like there are buffets, but that's not like what
I always
Vegas
thought that was the
is-
big
Yes,
thing.
it
Like
is.
it was like casinos with like massive, expensive but delicious buffets.
Yes, that's exactly it for me. I went once and we got a wristband where we could go to any buffet we wanted to for 24 hours, and I've never been that full in my entire life. It was a dream come true.
Yes, I've done that. The one that goes to Caesars and
Yeah.
Flamingo. And,
Yes.
yeah.
Which is your favorite of the bunch, just out of curiosity?
Planet Hollywood probably was my favorite.
I didn't go.
I'll tell you right now, the best chicken and waffles I ever had was at Planet Hollywood. That Planet
Really?
Yeah.
Planet Daily.
Yeah.
I like
dude.
Paris. I think it was called Paris. It was a lot of like European food. I was eating a lot of potatoes. My Irish ass was pleased as punch.
But no, so it was a ton of amazing meals, a lot of random gambling, and then Thursday night we went and saw Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and you guys, that's not a really good movie. That's pretty rough.
Did you expect it to be?
Not this bad. I wasn't, because I like Jurassic World, but I can recognize its flaws. Its flaws, and I thought this one would probably not be as good. But still on close level with Jurassic World, and it's just bad. Like, basically, they made 3 different movies and smashed them all into one. They go to the island and the volcano's exploding, and there's no reason they even need to be there. There's literally, other than lava, and guess what? You get to see a whole bunch of dinosaurs die. Because that's why I go to see Jurassic movies, to see dinosaurs die in fiery, smoky deaths, right? Right? Everyone's on board with that. Like, who thought that was... This is fucking Zack Snyder's Jurassic World. It's like, who thought this was a good idea? It just...
There's a lot of slow motion.
As they escape and they're going away, there's a brontosaurus longingly calling from the dock to help save it, and they have to go away because the lava's engulfing it. That's something you want to see, right? Yeah, people it was heart-wrenching.
Covering their children's eyes and shit. Like,
Yeah,
Timmy, don't watch. Don't
It
look.
was one of those, like, why did you do that? Like, there was literally no reason to do that. It just... there's a whole opening monster movie sequence with the Mosasaurus and the T-Rex that, fine, whatever. It doesn't need to be there. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It was just bad. The other issue I had with it, and this is the last thing I'll talk about Fallen Kingdom, I really hate the Ready Player One thing with, like, where they wink and nod at you and go, hey, you remember that? You remember that, right? What about this? You like this? Hey, you remember these things too? That happened in old Jurassic Park movies. You guys like that, right? This movie does it every 5 minutes. Every 5 fucking minutes is a callback from another scene in Jurassic.
I was going to say that.
Like,
I figured that would be Jeff Goldblum's whole role. I mean, that's probably all he's for, right?
that kind of is just like, he's just like doing a speech from Jurassic Park. But no, like the original Jurassic Park, when you see the Brachiosaurus for the first time and it's like this magical moment, they do that scene. When the girl is can't close the door and the Velociraptor's trying to get her in the little cabinet in the kitchen, that scene's in there, like damn near verbatim.
Does anyone get eaten off a shitter?
Wait, give me a minute.
I thought you didn't want to spoil something. You're going to be like, yeah, someone gets eaten on a shitter.
I don't think anyone gets eaten on a shitter, but I'm pretty sure they cut and pasted the T-Rex from the last shot of Jurassic Park into this movie because it happened, like, it looks exactly the same.
The effects budget's low, guys. Just use copy and paste from the first one.
Yeah, and oh god, there's plot twists that just are so asinine, and it's like when the movie isn't crushingly sad, it's just dumb. Like it's just the dumbest thing when it's not like trying to just be really sad.
The trailer made it look like it was a horror movie.
So the last half of the movie straight up horror. The last half of the movie is a monster in the house horror movie. Like
Wow.
straight up. It's the big bad Velociraptor gets out, and it's a monster movie at that point. Like,
wow. I still kind of want to see this. Like I know it's probably gonna suck and I'm probably gonna hate it, but for some reason there's like a part of me that still wants to go see it.
It's one of those like.
Was it at least fun? Was it stupid fun?
He wants to say yes.
I mean,
Did you at least enjoy yourself in some way?
I mean, I enjoy dinosaurs, which is why I went and watched it, but like, I don't know. I've watched all the Jurassic Park movies multiple times, and I don't know if I'll ever watch this one again. Like, if that tells you anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's even worse than like Lost World?
Yeah, it's way worse than Lost World.
Is this one of those movies where you could watch it in that 4DX, the ones that have like the vents that blow shit in your face and like enjoy it?
That might make it more entertaining.
Dinosaur shit.
Yeah, like the tears of mother triceratopses when their babies are getting
tastes
burned
like
to crisp.
salt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, that's gonna be on the next Bambi they got coming out too. You get the Bambi 4D experience, right? Mom, no!
Oh my
Here's these
God.
tears in your face.
Look,
Yeah.
you can smell the gunpowder.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it is what it was. It was definitely. I'm glad I saw it. I've seen all the Jurassic movies in theater. So but the other thing, and I'm not sure if it was just my theater or if it was the mix. Good Lord, the soundtrack was way too loud. Like the mix is just was kind of off. Maybe I'm hoping it was just my showing, but
I thought it meant it was gonna be like a really crappy band.
no, like it's a standard, orchestra soundtrack, and it was just thunderous. Like, oh my God, loud. So yeah, I'm
Soundtrack by Hoobastank.
And the T-Rex is you. Like,
Yeah.
Let's get in it.
That's the twist of the movie. You are the T-Rex all along.
Oh wait, I think we just made that movie a lot better.
It was the whole movie was a T-Rex woke up and it was all a dream.
Yeah, it wakes up and there's a goat in front of him, and he's like, "Oh, a goat!" Standing in the rain, like, "Oh, goat, sweet."
Yep. Wow, that's a bummer, man.
Yeah,
Because I thought Jurassic World was surprisingly pretty decent.
yeah, I dug it. I thought it was good.
I thought it was fun enough. It felt like it was just kind of remaking the first movie, but still it was fine. It was still fun. But
Which is funny because it's like, old nerds are like, I can't believe they're just remaking these movies, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, that movie's 20 years old. Like, there's literally a generation of people that never saw Jurassic Park. Like, calm down. They can remake the movie. It's fine.
Yeah, I got a free copy of Jurassic Park with my PlayStation 2.
That's hilarious.
I got a free copy of Spider-Man 3 with my PlayStation 3.
Nice.
Well, I mean, they use the same font, so.
Yeah, they do. They do. All right, Elena, what you got this week?
Oh man, I've just been dealing with bullshit with my phone. I don't know if you guys know this, but I bought a Pixel 2 XL like a couple months ago, a month or two ago, and I've been having some problems with Google and with Project Fi. I got it through Project Fi, which is Google's like, pay as you go, no contract kind of mobile plan, and I sent them emails and I ended up having to return my phone. I think I mentioned that on the podcast. Got another one, got a replacement. It's been working fine, but I've been using the Android P beta. I opted in for that, so I've been using the new beta available for Androids, and it's rough going, y'all. It's rough going. There's a lot of stuff that, I kind of am getting to the point where I'm considering backing up all my data and just going back to what it was, because I'm kind of in this phase where I need to know if my phone works properly, but I also am not certain because, the beta is a little janky, and I'm like, is this the beta or is this my phone? Do I have reason to be concerned? And then to add insult to injury, I got an email about a week back from Project Fi about $100 credit, being issued to my account. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I've been kind of, at my wit's end with you guys, but this kind of helps a little bit. This will pay my next month's bill and maybe my month after that because I don't use much mobile data. And 3 days after that, I get an email. Nah, son, psych. We sent it on accident, and there was no real like authentic apology. There was no like explanation, no compensation, no nothing. So I'm pissed. I haven't had the time or the energy to reach out to customer service regarding this, but I'm a little miffed. Like that's kind of some bullshit. And
played with your emotions, man. You know.
Yeah, well, don't tell me you're going to give me $100 credit and then back down, and don't tell me why you sent me the email in the first place. So I think it was something regarding, I did a little bit of research, something regarding like a promotional thing they had. But if you're going to send that to me in error, send me like a $20 credit as an apology for getting my fucking hopes up. You know what I mean? Like, give me something. Like, you messed up, kind of man up and give me something. No, I'm just being like, I just want free shit at this point, I guess. I don't know. I'm really frustrated with the service in general, but Android P beta is cool. I'm really interested in seeing what it's going to become, but I'll give you an example. I went to see a show last Saturday, and I took some really cool footage that I wanted to upload to Instagram, and I don't want to admit how long I spent trying to get that video to upload on Instagram to no avail. It was basically, it kept saying it was a rendering issue, and I tried for, I think, a long period of time over the 2 days that I was frustrated with this, and I finally ended up having to uninstall the old version, or the current version, the new version, reinstall an old version, and it worked like that. And I was just sitting there like, y'all don't let me use this beta if core shit isn't going to work. So I'm just exasperated. I really want to go back. I'm kind of having buyer's remorse a little bit. I had an iPhone prior to this. It was an SE, but it was short and sweet and simple. And I don't think I'm quite used to being back on the Android game because I've only ever owned that one iPhone. I think I used another iPhone way back in 2010, but I just really underestimated, or maybe, yeah, I underestimated how user-friendly iPhones are and how complex Androids can be. And I think the Android P beta is potentially exacerbating that. So the phone's sweet, it's gorgeous, but fuck, work, please, like work. Quit dying on me.
I learned my lesson using those beta versions of new OS updates, because the last time I installed one of the iOS ones on an iPhone, like there was like just games and apps and all kinds of things that just wouldn't work right, and it was really buggy, and then I ended up having to roll it back, which was a huge pain in the ass.
Right.
I just wait until day one when they actually come out, but I was actually really close to jumping on an Android phone this year, and then I decided not to, just because of the way they update the phones that aren't made by Google is just a disaster.
Or the select few phones they choose, like the special ones.
Yeah, because like unless it's made by Google, like the Pixels are, you have the carrier, you have the phone manufacturer, and Google. All three have to cooperate with one another in order to get that update to roll out on your phone. And usually it fails on one of those three in some capacity. It's usually never Google, but and yeah, I mean, I know that my wife has a Galaxy S8, which came out last year, and she just now got Oreo, and Android P is going to be coming out this summer. So she won't get Android P until next summer when Android Q comes out. So it's like they're always like a year behind, and that shit just pisses me off. Like if an Android if a new OS update is going to come out, I want it. Unless my phone is like dirt old, like we're talking 6 years old or something. Like obviously I don't expect it then.
Right.
But that's what I love about. I like sort of the some of the features of Android a little more, but I always stick with iOS Apple stuff because when they release a new version, I get it day one. And to me, that's important, and that's what always makes me stay with iPhones.
You're also entitled to that as a consumer. I think it's like a slap in the face that they don't give that to you ASAP. I understand it, but it's frustrating.
It's new features, it's new functionality. Like you want that stuff on your phone.
You paid $1,000 for a phone to get the highest quality, and where is that quality? You know what I mean? But either way, I mean, I finally got all of that fixed to a certain extent. It's just I've had some customer service issues, and the phone's great, and I really do like it, but I'm still working out the kinks, and I'm still getting used to being on an Android phone, and it's taking way longer than I anticipated. I do think it's because of the beta. So once the beta is fixed and is where it needs to be, if my phone's still busted, you guys, if it's still acting as janky as it has been the last couple of weeks, I'm going to freak the fuck out. Vivid. I spent so much money on this phone. I'm the type of person who researches and researches and researches. So I really felt like I was making a good decision here. And I don't feel like that anymore. And I want to feel like I made the right decision, you know? But on a better note, that show on Saturday was fucking sick. I helped people crowd surf for the first time. I got kicked in the head for the first time. I helped a girl like not get kicked in the head for the first time. So it was a really sick show. It was 3 bands that I love, one from Japan, one from UK, one from the States. And if you guys Chon is a band, CHON from the Bay. Not the Bay. They're not from the Bay, Elena. Fuck. They're from SoCal. But they are, if you can imagine one band that represents California in a nutshell, in my opinion, it is Chon. It is like a kind of psychedelic, mathy, instrumental rock kind of music. If you want to give it a listen, I would heavily recommend it. Listening to The Space by Chon. And then TTNG from the UK, another instrumental math rock band, and then Trico, which is 3 girls, and they have a male drummer now. They used to have a female drummer, but they're sick, man. I wish I took more footage, but I was too busy. Like, I left and I smelled like other people. I could smell it on my skin for long periods of time, and I was like, man, it smells like body odor and fun. You know, we all had a really good experience, and every time somebody fell, it was everything stopped. You know what I mean? That sense of community. I've never seen it like that, especially in that type of environment, because San Francisco can get a little bit like, fuck you, this is about me, you know? Like, I'm here to have fun. I don't really care about anybody else. But seeing that in person, that up close and personal, was a really, really memorable experience. And I think that was one of the best shows I've been to in the last 5 years. I think because the lineup was so important to me. Like, I love these bands so much. It was a great experience.
I think it's funny that you said that, like, the band represents California, because every time I think of a band representing California, it's always something like Best Coast or something like that.
Best Coast that's LA. Like, Best Coast is LA.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of that carefree indie kind of thing is what I always think of.
Chon is kind of carefree, man. It's like, I would definitely recommend you guys listen to any of their albums. I think you'll have a good time.
Gotcha. Cool. Shannon, what you got, man? Let's lead us out of here.
So I went to a community swimming center with my family. We were invited by some friends of ours, and we went there, and it's in Concord, which is relatively close to our house in Hayward, and it's brutal. So we went out there, and they have like the little kiddie pool area. And then like over on the Olympic side of the pools where they have like the high dives and the springboards, they also like cordoned off this whole area, and they have this like wipeout style obstacle course. So like it's all blown up, like this inflatable section, and basically you get this wristband and you can run it as many times as you want. So like I'm out there, and my buddy's like, dude, I'm like setting like this record time. Like I come here all the time. Like I fly through this thing, and man, he gets up there.
It's like Ninja Warrior shit.
Have you ever seen like Wipeout on TV? Like where like, it's essentially that, like, there's like these like sections that like, they kind of like bounce back up when you step on them, and like they'll just whack you off the side. So it's pretty funny to watch like little kids like rocket, like just pegged and just like rocket off the side.
I'd go just to watch that, man.
Yeah, I know. But like, I mean, I'm like sitting there trying to like navigate it too. And man, dude, like I go to the gym on like a regular basis and I lift weights, but like swimming is like a whole nother level of exercise for your body that like muscle is not good for. Like you need to have like lean muscle. Like if you're just dense muscle, it sucks to swim. And like when you bail on this course, like right out in the middle of the pool, and you have to swim like, I don't know, like the length of half of a football field to get somewhere where you can like stand, you're exhausted. Like, so like, I mean, the first time I fell off, I was like, dude, I think I'm gonna need to take like a sit down for like a half hour so I could do this again. So I went out off of the side of the obstacle course, and they had this, they had the springboards. So I'm sitting there with my buddy, and he's like, hey man, he's like, you jumped on a springboard before? And I was like, yeah, back when I was like 18, I would do it all the time. And I was really good at doing flips and like jackknives and like all these like types of dives. And he's like, okay, cool. And he goes up hits the springboard, does a sweet flip, and like lands in the water. I'm like, okay, cool. I think I could do this. And I got up there and I was like, this feels a little like awkward, like I'm a little out of practice, but I'll try it anyway. What's the worst that can happen? And I'm like running out there and I was like, my timing does not feel right to hit the edge of this board. I hit the edge of the board and I'm like, in my mindset, I'm still following that progression. Like I need to I should probably not do this flip, even though I want to do this sweet, sweet flip, like, and just show everybody how awesome I am. And so like I hit the board and like I went up in the air and like halfway through my flip, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Like, I don't think I'm gonna get all the way over. And like, yeah, like I'm like, I think the water is gonna hit right about and like smack. It sounded like a board hitting hitting the ground flat from like 10 stories up. And the lifeguard, like my buddy was off to the side, and the lifeguard that was sitting there was just like, oh my God. And she was just like, that I think I need to go in there to like save him. And my buddy was like, no, he'd be fine. And I came out, my whole back was like as red as a tomato. Like it was painful. So I guess the only thing I really learned from this whole adventure is that A, I'm not 18 anymore. B, I can't do any sweet jumps off of diving boards. And C, obstacle courses just are not for me anymore. Too old. Can't do it anymore. But
oh my God.
The last time I went to a pool, there was it was sort of like a water park in a way, and they had this really cool pool that was circular, and it like rotated around, like the water is sort of like being flushed down a toilet. Like it just like went in like a vortex, and you're like, whoa, just being carried around like in a circle, and it was really fun. And I remember my wife and I being in that pool for about maybe 15-20 minutes, and we were having a lot of fun in it. And then all of a sudden, like they made everyone get out because this little kid shit in it. And there was literally like a turd like going around the vortex.
Looks like a toilet for real, man. Yeah,
it was like a toilet. So
maybe it confused the kid. It confused him.
Yeah. So some kid ruined the fun for everyone, and everyone had to get out, and they had to like drain the water out and disinfect everything. It was pretty hilarious.
You know what ruined the fun for me over at that place is that so it backed up to the community center, backed up to a school, and the school had like a huge field, like massive. It has hills. It had it was like a nice little like quad area leading up to this high school. And then like there's a chain small chain link fence that's maybe like 6 feet tall, that kind of divided the school from the community center. And, we were up on this hill, like underneath a tree. So we had a nice little shady spot. And towards like the end of the day, we noticed that there was this dude that came from the school, and he walked up to like one of the hills just so he was above like the fence line for the community area. And he pulled out a chair and he sat down. And now by itself, that's fine. That's not creepy. But the minute you whip out the pair of binoculars to start staring at people in the community area, that's when stuff starts to get a little. Well,
I'm surprised he didn't get kicked out for that.
Well, yeah, like
that's what I'm like. Someone's probably calling the cops on that dude at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we were standing over in the corner just staring at him, like mean mugging him and waiting for him to just make that like that pan over to us so we could just be like, get the fucker. But like, he was just oblivious to us over in the corner. And I think it was the fact that like if the place was closing at like 5:30 and it was like 4:45 or 4:45 when he was like setting up his shop. But I mean, still, that's like 45 minutes of Creepville, like right there. Like it was just that. But yeah, good times.
Amazing, awesome. All right, guys. Well, that'll be it for this week for us. Just as a reminder, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at That Pixel Life. You can follow me at JD Falky. You can get Zach at ZAKAL. I do that every
week.
Another week. Another week. You should type it out. You should type it out phonetically.
Yeah. No, we're gonna make a board. It's been 0 weeks since Josh.
It's just me pronouncing it and then trying to spell is what fucks me up. But
it's perfect.
ZAKAL. Shannon is SHMore0317 and Elena is Honey Baked Hella. So make sure you follow us and get all the shenanigans on Twitter from us. Don't forget to drop them iTunes reviews if you guys are Apple people. That really helps us out and we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're on Twitter, go ahead and DM us and give us some requests. Give us some feedback on the show. Let us know how you're feeling. And also, don't forget to spread the love and share the show with your friends. Hopefully, they will enjoy it as well and also give us some feedback. So thank you guys once again for tuning in this week. We'll be back next week with some more fun and some more crap that we're playing and some more goofy stories about turds and pools and stuff like that. So it should be fun. But thank you guys for tuning in once again. Have an awesome weekend, and we will see you next week. See ya.
See you next week.
Butts and butts and butts and butts and
Butts and poops and butts and butts and butts.